And this is the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra. And I know the title may sound a little bit over the top. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm being mean to you, but you gotta do better. But there's an element of truth there. The Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra is quite possibly the best tablet that money can buy right now. And just recently, it became even more powerful. In this video, I'm going to take you through my experience after a whole year of using this tablet, how the recent One UI 5 updates have improved it, but it's not all a bed of roses. There's at least one pro app that unfortunately has been a major disappointment. I am going to cover that later in the video, and a few points as well that lots of you have asked me in my previous videos. For example, how has this amazing 14-inch display held up so far? Is it too big a 14-inch? And being realistic, how productive is this tablet in comparison with the iPad Pro, for example? And look, I don't want to make this video about the Apple or the iPad, though I think I do need to address a few things and bring the iPad up for comparison because I know a lot of you may be considering one or the other. When we talk about multitasking or Samsung DeX versus Stage Manager, for example, it is important to show what is on offer from both Apple and Samsung. I really think this could be useful. I'm Alex and I do down-to-earth tech videos. I've always been a huge fan of the iPad Pro and what it promised to be back in the day, but since around April 2021, I started to realize that Apple were really letting me down as an iPad Pro user, you know? Do you know what? I'm being too polite here. I was fucking pissed at Apple. So when the Tab S8 Ultra was announced and came out at the beginning of last year, I jumped at it. The first thing I noticed was how amazing this 14-inch display is. I was actually really close to getting the S7 Ultra a couple of years before this one, but I held on to my old iPad because I thought the new iPad in 2021 would be my next computer. How wrong was I, right? Coming back to the Tab S8 Ultra here, it's not just the high quality of it, but this really wide aspect ratio is just perfect for content watching and multitasking. Now, I've got to be careful not to get too carried away here. This tablet is not perfect, as I said. There's still an issue with it, which could be really important to you. And there's also another issue with accessories for this tablet, but I'll cover those points in a bit. Coming back to this display, it is really sharp and bright. As you can see here where I work, I'm surrounded by large windows and have loads of daylight coming in. Not once in the last year have I found myself wanting more brightness of the display. Whether I was working, playing a game, watching content, or just browsing social media, the display was just amazing to use. Despite this huge size, the Tab S8 Ultra is deceptively light and very comfortable to hold. And I can't talk about the display and not mention the fingerprint sensor under the display. Like with many other Samsung devices, it is super accurate. The haptic feedback that you get is great. I like facial recognition, don't get me wrong, on all my tech, but I always think it's nice to have that option to unlock with my fingerprint. Now, I do have a problem with the accessories for the Tab S8 Ultra. There just aren't that many options, especially when it comes to a nice case for it that you could use on your lap, for example. And if you do come across any good accessory for the Tab S8 Ultra, please do let me know. This device lives on my desk and I'd love to check it out. So in the evenings, I sometimes do reach for my iPad Air because it's just lighter and easier to hold. And I use the iPad Air sometimes with this case from Logitech, which allows me to take out the keyboard part and just use it on my lap. Now, where this tablet really shines is getting work done. There are so many little touches here in the Tab S8 Ultra that allow me to really use multiple apps and make the most of how flexible this tablet is. I do think you're getting your money's worth when it comes to using this tablet as a computer or as a tablet. And these multitasking features don't really feel like a gimmick like it does on the iPads. I can genuinely use multiple apps and be as flexible with an external monitor as I want to be. It's hard not to draw any comparisons between this and the iPad Pro, Stage Manager and the Apple ecosystem, but if I try to judge this device for what it is truly a powerhouse. And the fact that it sits on my desk every single day says a lot about how much I love this tablet.
I don't miss, I don't play none, I don't diss, I don't say none, I go swish, that's an A1, I stay with no A1.
Now, we can't talk about multitasking and not mention Samsung DeX. When you're using Samsung DeX, there's so many useful things that I think are just refreshing to see on a tablet. This is the sort of thing that I've been waiting for on the iPad for years, and we're just not getting it. And it's funny really, DeX is such an underrated feature. I don't understand why there isn't more about DeX out there because it is so powerful. Not just on the Tab S8 Ultra either. DeX will run on many Samsung phones as well. With One UI 5, Samsung made it even better and added a few more touches that really improved our user experience. If you're not familiar with DeX, it basically transforms a tablet or your smartphone into a desktop. And there is no exaggeration here, it really does. You can resize windows, have multiple apps open, and not feel restrained, by where you place them. You can resize them the way you want it, full freedom to do whatever you want. There's limitations, of course, of how many apps you can open, but it's definitely less restrained than what you can do on the iPad. One thing that I wish would be better on DeX is the interaction, like copy and paste and things like that between apps. But I'm totally able to use Microsoft Office apps whilst watching content and doing creative work, all of that using whatever display that I want to use. I think this feature alone summarizes how Samsung and Apple treat their customers. At least that's how I feel. Samsung are like, you want to use this tablet as a computer? No problem, here it is, use DeX. Whereas Apple is like, here's Stage Manager, but forget what we said about the iPad being the next computer, that was just marketing fluff. We have plenty of MacBooks that you can buy, so yeah, send monies. Being honest though, Samsung could be going down the same route eventually, and it wouldn't be the first time that Samsung followed Apple, right? But for now, for the right workflow, the Tab S8 Ultra is still much more useful than the iPad. The reason I say for the right workflow is because I do appreciate that there are many apps on iPadOS that you just can't get on Android yet. Which brings me to LumaFusion for Android. There are many apps that I've discovered recently for Android tablets that have been optimized for the Tab S8 Ultra and work beautifully. So Android tablet apps are becoming more available and more refined, and I did an entire video dedicated to the best apps for this tablet. LumaFusion is a video editing app that up until recently was exclusive to the iPad. Unfortunately though, we're faced with the old age issue of Android apps just not being as good. It's not a fault of Samsung, but some app developers clearly still focus more on iPadOS. I know it's a cliche, right? A content creator talking about a video editing app. I know not everyone uses it. I am using LumaFusion as an example here, but this is still true for many other apps. It's a shame because we have enough memory here. We can use fast SSDs or internal storage even if you wanted to. It would make video editing on the go amazing with this display, if it worked. Like I said, I appreciate that video editing is not something that you might care about, but more and more people are wanting to create their own videos, upload stuff to social media, so having a decent editor is becoming quite important. Now I want to share with you some of my favorite accessories for this tablet, but before I do that, just a quick reminder that I'm still growing this channel by myself, and if you are enjoying this video, your thumbs up goes a long way. And share this video with someone as well on your WhatsApp group or whatever. You might not think it helps, but every little interaction really helps YouTube push this video out to more people. And if you're brand new here, take a look around the channel after this, and if you like my stuff, you'll be awesome if you're subscribed. I'm here at least once a week these days with a new down-to-earth tech video for you. So if you like your gadgets, you're in good company. Right, let's talk about accessories. As you saw earlier, one of the greatest things about this tablet is Samsung DeX. 100% the most underrated feature out there. The downside of DeX though on a tablet this size is that you have to prop it up somehow. You may have seen in my previous videos that I was using this Satechi USB-C stand combo, which is actually for the iPad. I then went and purchased a few different ones from Amazon just to see what would work. If all you want to do is prop it up and you're not going to be touching the screen or using the S Pen, then these options like the U-Green or Mint House are okay for that. They can be quite good for putting it on the kitchen or maybe your desk just to watch content or even to use DeX. But to make the most of this tablet though, including using the S Pen, then my recommendation is this one here, the Lululook magnetic stand. Love that name. Especially made for the Tab S8 Ultra, this is definitely the stand that I've been waiting for. It's a decent piece of aluminum, really top quality hinges as well, very sturdy when you're using it. It's just great, you can use touch and the S Pen with no issues using this stand. It really doesn't budge or wobble at all. The only problem with it is availability. It's really hard to find. I'll leave a link down below for you, but they're always sold out. And the other problem is the magnets. They're just too good. And because the magnets are so strong, you may find some issues with interference when using the S Pen. I have noticed it when drawing, but it's very minimal. It didn't bother me at all. And as you can see here, it doesn't really affect the performance that much. But I have to be honest, it will be noticeable if you are an artist or an architect and you're relying on very precise lines. I've tested a couple of these portable monitors too, which can be really useful. I'll do a separate video about them. They really add to that productivity aspect as well, giving you even more real estate to work with. Now Samsung do sell a keyboard cover. I haven't bought it for two reasons. One, I think is overpriced. It may have come down now, but I thought originally it was like $350. And as some of you reported in my previous videos, the connection is a bit iffy. The Bluetooth doesn't always work, and ergonomically speaking, is not the greatest for using on the lap. So for me, I just use my main keyboard, which is a Logitech, and same for the mouse. Both of them allow me to connect to multiple devices at once, and that's super convenient. Oh, actually, another feature that not many people talk about, and I discovered it almost by accident, is that you can actually make and receive phone calls on this tablet. Things like emergency services won't work on this, by the way, but just about everything else works. You do need to turn the setting on the tablet and on the phone. As long as you have your phone and the tablet on the same Wi-Fi network, this will work fine. Pretty neat feature and actually quite decent call quality as well. The battery life on the Tab S8 Ultra is really good. I don't know how Samsung are managing this, but one of the great things I found is how it really doesn't seem to move at all overnight or over the weekend. Sometimes I leave it here in the studio over the weekend and fully expect it to be flat on Monday, only to see that it barely moved. I've taken this with me for work trips and haven't had any battery issues at all. It literally just lasts all day, even when I'm busy without any problems. For $999, I think is the price that you can still get it from. You probably get it cheaper somewhere, but you're getting a monster of a tablet that is way more useful than just a Netflix watching device. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm being mean to you, but you gotta do better. Samsung could mess things up now, bringing a new laptop Ultra in 2023, as we've seen in CES recently, but for me, the tablet form factor is still very much a favorite of mine. I would definitely recommend the Tab S8 Ultra for people who really want to make the most of a single device and having an amazing experience as well for entertainment. For me, without a doubt, this is the best value for money tablet out there right now. YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video over here, and I put this playlist together as well that I think you're gonna like. See you soon.